Spoiler alert, this comes down to power and profits. Yes, there's other sick demand and supply, but power and profits is what this comes down to. I'm gonna unpack that. But here's the pop quiz. What do you think grosses more money every year? What makes more money each year? McDonald's or selling children in the United States?
Selling children.
What do you think makes more income? Costco or selling children in the United States? If you had to ballpark, how much do you think, let's unpack this real quick because I'm actually a data expert, okay? So the data on child trafficking is very sparse, it's also very inaccurate, but let's face the reality, traffickers aren't filing taxes, right? So we're just barely scratching the tip of the iceberg with whatever we can verify. Okay, ballpark for me, how much do you think selling children in the United States makes every single year? $50 billion every year. For context, I just looked it up. McDonald's made something like 23 billion and Costco was like 28. Both less than 30. Just think of the volume. Think of how many children that is. So why does this matter? But more importantly, why is nobody talking about it? So here's my one of many problems, right? Pop quiz. How many politicians have you guys heard talk about it? I'm not asking for action, I'm saying making sounds with their mouth. How many?
Zero.
Of all the politicians that we sponsor with our tax dollars, let's look at them like salespeople, right? Why wouldn't they even add the topic of protecting children to their sales pitch? Well, a lot of rhetorical questions, because I want you to unpack the logic for yourself. I'm not here to tell you what to think, etc. And that this is also for all the people that, it's a theory, and I've heard it all, it's cute. But it's very embarrassing for them because, of course, I love unpacking that ignorance because people need to not only acknowledge this is real, like this doesn't make the bad guys go away, right? It's also not helping children. And it's also ridiculous to me that in 2024 we're scared to talk about it because I might be called a conspiracy theorist if I talk about protecting children. Like, oh, you can come say that to my face, right? Sometimes it takes a smiley, petite little female to kind of call people out, so I enjoy that. Here's another rhetorical question. Why has the topic of child trafficking never been mentioned on a presidential debate stage? Rhetorical, right? If you knew that this one cause would unite us all, the red, the blue, the old, the new, right? Who doesn't care about protecting children? Because it would unite us all. It would band people together that were in the middle or whichever side of the political, all that, okay? Why isn't it being talked about? That's a rhetorical question I want you to keep in mind because it's a big part of this. Got more rhetorical questions, but I'm leading up to all these points, okay? Now here's another one for you. First, I'm going to quantify it. Human trafficking, the sale and exploitation of humans, is a massive global problem. We all understand that. Narrow it down to the United States. Okay, so let's do like a spectrum or a pie chart of all the different ways humans can be trafficked. This is a dark subject, I'm just not going to get into details, okay? Labor trafficking, sex trafficking, domestic servitude, there's all these different ways people can be sold and exploited. Humans around the world, narrow it down to humans in America, narrow it down to children in America, all the different ways children can be trafficked, because there's also labor and all these other things. Narrow that down to children being sex trafficked. That generates $50 billion every year. It's also the second largest criminal enterprise on the planet. The second largest. This is not just like a top 20, top 10 issue. Of all the things to be concerned about in the world right now, second largest in America. It's also the fastest growing. It has a faster growth rate than drugs and arms and all these other things. This is really disgusting, but one of the reasons it's so profitable is because you can sell drugs or arms in a one-time transaction, but you can sell a human multiple times a day. I want you guys to know something. The average age, these are stock photos because we obviously can't actually take pictures of the children that we rescue in-house, and I'm going to get into that later. But these are representative of what it looks like. The average age of the children that we rescue is 7. I want you to understand these aren't like teenagers prostituting themselves, okay? The kids at our center are from 2 to 14 years old. Now, yes, it happens all ages, all genders, all races, blah, 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 blah. It's not a human construct, it's not a political issue, it's not a fantasy. So here's the rhetorical question. Quantifying the issue, as big as this issue is, why doesn't our federal government have a 3-letter agency that's dedicated to combating human trafficking? Of all the 3-letter agencies that we sponsor with our tax dollars and all the things they do, some of which are important, most of which are ineffective, but you know how they're pretending? You know how they're pretending to do the war on drugs and that's been, but they're pretending. Why are they not even pretending to care? Let me unpack that, because no one here wants more government involvement in anything, nor do we think they would actually be effective at solving a problem that they're creating and profiting from. But the rhetorical question, why aren't they pretending to care? Why aren't they even laundering money pretending to care? Isn't it weird that they won't even talk about it? Do you think it's acceptable for anybody to use the excuse of fear to prevent them from thinking about the scary things that are happening to children on a daily basis? Should we, the people, let our fear hold us back? Oh no, it's too gross, I can't think about it. Here's the good news. I'm not asking you to think about the gruesome details. I'm not asking you to research them or know anything about them. I'm asking you to do something. I'm asking you not to coexist with this evil. I'm asking you not to make excuses for the elected officials who have security teams and funding, right? That don't make sounds with their mouth about this. That don't even take action about this. It's not acceptable. If little old me is out here with this little light of mine eradicating darkness, I'm gonna ask every single person in this country, what's your excuse? With all the love in my heart. Because to me it's unacceptable that our generation allows this to continue. We will not coexist with this evil. We will not look the other way. We will not be distracted by all the things they use to divide, distract, and disunite us. I'm just speaking for everyone in this one instance only.